So in this clip, we're going to see Kevin O'Leary once again. I did a video literally earlier on today where I spoke about Kevin O'Leary just being so far removed from reality. But we're going to see it again in a different segment from CNN Newsnight with Abby Phillip, where Kevin O'Leary literally uses an investor's call to try and justify and prove that the US is a booming economy right now. And it should be no surprise with the wealth and the net worth of Donald Trump's current cabinet. As usual, let's watch the clip in full and give you guys my thoughts towards the end.
Tonight, the Trump administration is celebrating a potentially alarming trend, claiming it's a sign of consumer confidence. Trump's top economic advisor says the American consumer is, quote, really firing on all cylinders for this puzzling reason.
I had the head of one of the big 5 banks in my office yesterday going through the credit card data, and just as Secretary Bessent said, credit card spending is through the roof. They're spending more on gasoline, but they're spending more on everything else, too.
Today, Kevin Hassett credited Trump's no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security policies for putting so much more money in Americans' pockets. But notably absent from that list, Trump's tariffs, which are said to have cost the average American family over $1,700. Kevin, the other Kevin, look, I'm sure that there are plenty of economic people who can make a good case for why people spending themselves into debt is a good thing for the economy, sure. But for actual American pocketbooks, when you are spending yourself on credit cards, it's usually a sign that things are not going well with your cash flow.
It's very interesting what's happening, because I was listening to the Disney call, the earnings call, which is such a great index for consumers. Think about families going to theme parks, buying gasoline, buying stuff. So the Disney, this is a new CEO, it's his first call, was asked right out of the gate, because every analyst is trying to figure out where the consumer stands, have you seen a slowdown in park traffic? Remember, parks are more expensive than they've ever been, and the cost of taking your family in the car should be more expensive than ever, because it's gas $4 to $5 now. Zero change in traffic. In fact, it's up. And so what is happening to this economy that people feel confident enough to see forward to the end of whatever this volatility is, particularly on gas prices? The truth is 50% of the S&P 500 companies have absorbed the tariffs themselves by using AI to increase their margins and productivity. So the full weight of tariffs hasn't ever affected the consumer yet because of this incredible productivity enhancement, this serendipitous tool that Trump never saw coming called AI in all 11 sectors. The earnings are stunning in the S&P 500, which is the index of everybody that saves money, that is saving anything in their savings account in America, driven by the power of an economy that seems to be ignoring the conflict in the Middle East. You would think, given all of this volatility, that somehow it would affect something in America.
Well, I mean, Kevin Hassett is telling us it is.
Nothing yet.
But Kevin Hassett is telling us, I mean, just to ask you to respond to what he said. He said Americans are spending more on credit cards, that they are not only paying more, they are paying more for things that they are buying, but they're doing so on credit cards. That's what he's saying. That's
the amount that
that's
Americans are carrying on their credit card has increased. It's gone up to almost $7,000 per person. A lot of Americans are making minimum payments. The average interest rate is between 21 and 22% on whatever balance they are carrying. And then you've got the chief economic advisor to Donald Trump out there with a shit-eating grin, telling us how great it is that American debt is increasing, that the average American's debt is increasing. I just think it speaks again to this constant theme I see from this administration, which is tone deafness, right? Oh, it's just a little short-term pain. Oh, buy your daughter less dolls. Oh, it's, it's worth the little pain they're feeling. Oh, it's great that they've got more credit card debt. I mean, I would say that if I'm a person who can't pay my gas, whose dollar is going a lot less far in the grocery store, who is stuck in Fort Lauderdale Airport without being able to get back home because Spirit Airlines no longer exists. I hear this guy, and I'm not happy about it.
I think and that is kind of the difference. I think that the last Anna and Kevin illustrate the difference in the way that I think many Americans are viewing it. And for a long period of time, Democrats had their head in the sand about things like the economy, inflation, particularly, and crime, right? I mean, we spent before in 2020 to 2024, talking about the messaging that Democrats didn't get right around immigration, crime, and inflation. But Kevin was articulating the fact that a Disney earnings call and people coming to the park could dictate the pulse of what average Americans were feeling. And I would argue that's not quite the case. I think most people are looking at the fact that their electricity bills are rising through the roof. I think that people elected Donald Trump so that their grocery prices would go down, and they have not seen that. I think people are talking about gas and fuel prices. I think most people are not necessarily talking about Disney per se, but instead they're talking about how to make their everyday ends meet. Of course, we are.
I mean, Disney, to your point, is a luxury item.
Luxury? I mean, yes. I went on a Disney cruise and realized I had to work more years just to pay for it. So, yes, I understand that.
Heavy, I think Kevin said something that I think is a good point, and that has to do with confidence. People have some confidence about what's going on in the future. There were two numbers that came out this week that I think illustrate that. One is the ADP hiring report. They forecast 109,000 jobs added. The other thing was that the U.S. hiring rate jumped to 3.5% in March, which is a 22-month high, and we're still sort of in a, what do they call, low hire, low fire, so sort of a muted turnover in the labor market. So I think there are jobs being added. People aren't worried about necessarily losing their jobs. So I think what Kevin was, maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there is a little bit of confidence among the American workforce about, hey, my job is okay and I feel good about the future.
Can I ask you both just a question? This is just a literal question. I'm kind of taking Abby's role, I guess. But how do you say that we are not necessarily losing jobs and their confidence in the job market, but yet talk about the bolstering of AI? Because a lot of the same people that we're talking about who are in these jobs that pay between minimum wage and maybe, $20 an hour, those are going to be the same jobs in the next 5 to 10 years that are going to be excommunicated because of AI. So what is the balance there, and how we
loss of all jobs, and you're not seeing any new jobs that may be higher paying coming from AI? And I'll give you an example of exactly that. So people that used to look at the tops of Target stores and Walmart stores to look for every year cracks that they have to cover for insurance, that no longer is done by people going up ladders anymore. It's done by drones. And the people that fly the drones make 10 times more than the guys that went up the ladders.
So what happens to the people who went up the ladders?
Listen, the point is they...
No. I'd like a very specific question. So what happened? So that's my point. What happens to the people who went up the ladders?
They learned how to fly drones. That's what happened to them.
But
they
we're
know
not
the
investing
route.
in that.
They start making a lot more money. I mean, the point is, you make the assumption there's no mobility, that people are stuck in something they're doing when they're 28 or 38 years old. They're not stupid. They learn how to do new things. They're accommodating them.
I'll tell you one other thing. I interviewed a CEO actually on my radio show today who is head of this company. They make semiconductors, and because of the AI, you asked about AI, because of the boom, they're now currently building an advanced manufacturing plant in Greenville, North Carolina, that will add between 400 and 600 jobs in an advanced manufacturing setting. These people make a ton of money. The only reason they're building it is because they are the backbone that goes into NVIDIA. And so when you look at the interplay across AI, you can see there is manufacturing being added in a place like North Carolina. People are going to make a ton of money. It's only because of the AI.
So I think all of that is relevant. But I also think just getting back to where Americans believe the economy is, by every indication, they are pessimistic about where things are. Consumer confidence is at, all-time lows. Their confidence in President Trump's handling of the economy is pretty low. And prior to now, I mean, if you look at Trump's first year in office, I keep repeating this because I think it's important to note, when we talk about tariffs, it's not just who's paying them, it's also what is the overall effect on the economy. And there were effectively net zero jobs created in his first year in office. So Trump stagnated the economy for a year. Maybe we're coming out of that now. But you can see why Americans are not so sure where this thing is headed. And then they look at gas prices, they look at a war that maybe isn't ending, and they're asking, are you focused on what you said you were going to be focused on, which is raising our incomes, lowering our prices, all of that?
Well, look, one, I think the president probably recognizes that, which is why he's trying to bring some type of resolution to the conflict with Iran. I think looking at Disney's their earnings call, that's one key indicator one could look at a segment of the population to give us a tall tale in terms of how they're performing, behaving in terms of spending, et cetera. But when you look at how much does the average American have saved for an emergency, $500, $1,000, most frankly don't. And that sort of worries me. So people can iterate a little bit. They can adjust themselves to AI, et cetera. But that takes time. That doesn't happen overnight. And so for me as a conservative, I certainly want to see us focus a little bit more on making sure the American people have the skills for the jobs that you're talking about, because it will have a significant impact in the next 5 to 10 years. I don't know if Congress as a whole is focused there collectively. I want to see a little bit more of that. But in the immediate, I do think maybe we can try to attempt to pass some legislation, Abby, to provide some relief to people who are struggling, families. Congress can do that. We have a Republican majority. That would certainly benefit us going into the midterms this November. So that's sort of how I'm looking at
Yeah,
this.
I mean, what they're doing, though, is allocating $1 billion for a ballroom.
Well, for the bunker, a
they're
little
doing a
different,
lot
but
of other
I take your
things that
point.
involve spending
Imagine the
money.
Barack Obama ballroom that cost $1 billion.
Well, the $1 billion is separate from the building.
Spending money
would have
on many things
Try to
that don't
deport
have
them
to
to
do
Kenya.
with affordability over in Washington. Next for us, one CEO.
So I wanted to play that clip, and the reason as to why is because kind of leading on from the clip that I went over and I discussed a little bit earlier on, this should be no surprise to anybody who's watching this. I just want to give you guys just a bit of a reminder, because I feel like a lot of people have potentially forgot about this. Donald Trump's cabinet and this administration is the richest cabinet and the richest administration in US history. Let me repeat that. Donald Trump's administration is the richest and wealthiest administration in US history. Let's just quickly go over it really quick. Donald Trump, billionaire. Elon Musk obviously was a part of the administration earlier on. Obviously, billionaire. Obviously, Vivek Ramaswamy, he was the co-chair of Doge, even though he left earlier on, but the intent was still there. Billionaire. Scott Bessent, reported billionaire. Howard Lutnick, billionaire. Linda McMahon, billionaire. Chris Wright, the energy secretary, millionaire. Doug Burgum, billionaire. Steve Witkoff, over $500 million in terms of net worth. The defense secretary, billionaire. Warren Stevens, ambassador to the UK, billionaire. Charles Kushner, billionaire. Mehmet Oz, millionaire. Jared Isaacman, billionaire. This is the richest and the wealthiest administration in history. None of the people that it is that I just named to you will know what it's like to walk into a Walmart, walk into any supermarket and understand what it's like and see the difference in the price of eggs, see the difference in the price of milk. None of them, none of them will. These people are so far moved from reality that this is the reason why Kevin O'Leary, once again, who is a billionaire, when he sits on this panel, he will sit there and he will give an investor's call with Disney as a barometer of how the US economy and the everyday average person is doing. It's ridiculous. And these are the same people that said that Joe Biden had his head in the sand and was trying to gaslight the American people because of the fact that he kept saying that America's doing well, America's doing good, but people weren't feeling it in their pockets. They were trying to go after him for that. But right now they have the audacity to do the exact same thing. The exact same thing. Like, these people are not, cannot, and will not do anything to help the everyday American individual. They won't. And the reason why they won't is because, quite frankly, they can't. It's just the reality. They do not have the ability to be able to do it. They don't. And the reason why they don't have the ability to be able to do it is because they cannot connect and understand what the average individual is going through. Remember how I said earlier on, if they aren't walking into supermarkets themselves and actually seeing the rise in costs, they won't be able to relate. And let's say even if they were to, it wouldn't matter, because that rise, they do not feel it. It doesn't touch them because they have that much wealth. This is the reason as to why Donald Trump being elected, to me, made absolutely no sense. It's literally like a pig literally voting on behalf of a pork slaughterhouse to be able to continue doing what it is that it's doing. It's only going to work against you. And if you actually take a look at MAGA, you take a look at where these people are, these are some of the poorest individuals. But yet still, they vote for someone like a Donald Trump, and they really believe that he's there to try and help them out. Honestly, people voting against their own interests. But the saddest part is this is exactly what poor and working class people voted for. We've seen it right here in the United Kingdom. Same with reform. Nigel Farage is a multi-millionaire, and poor people are voting for him, believing that it's going to improve the country. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this clip in the comment section below. Do the usual stuff. Hit the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, hype up the video, and share it. Let's get in front of as many people as possible. Appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next clip.